the meep, it's finally time. Oh my god, face tutorial, guys, be proud, be proud, be proud. Also, it's another Arrtx video. What do we expect? What do we expect? I've actually already opened these once again. I'm sorry. I'm not like doing a full review, but like, you know me. I've done like 9 Arrtx videos at this point. You know I'm obsessed with them. And I needed to use it for, I think, the next video, maybe the video after that, but you'll see it shortly. But I'm very excited to show this set. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna swatch all of these, and then we're gonna get into the face tutorial. I think I'm gonna do it in like kind of 2 separate parts where I like show you, I think I'm gonna talk about the Loomis method because I don't particularly use it, but I use some aspects of it, how I study faces and how I do like portraits of real people and like tips with that, and then how I make my own faces. I have not swatched these yet, even though I've used quite a few of them. This is the brush set that it's in. It has more of the darker, more non-saturated, like super bright colors, which I really like because while I do love all my acrylic pens, a lot of them don't have like the dark values that I really want, or like the super like non-saturated colors that I really like. So I'm very excited to test these out because the ones that I was using for the next video were like these colors. So they were all just like the super bright, like magenta, pinky, purple. So I'm excited to test like these ones. Oh my god. I know I did use this color quite a bit and I absolutely adore it. It's like such a like a cool toned yellow that's like, it's like perfectly like pale. Oh my god, I love this color so much. Here are the first row of colors, but I'm gonna do it for the rest of them and I will be back. I'm back with all of the beautiful colors swatched, and I love this. Is like, I know I said the other 90 set was my favorite one, or the 36 set was my favorite, but I just like these specific colors right here, along with like this whole area. I'm shaken. It's like, it's just so gorgeous. And like these like rusty oranges and like these lilacs and like peony colors. Oh, they're so pretty. I think these are the darkest colors, probably this one, definitely this one, but I love them so much. Like these like 4 colors right here, they can make such a cool palette, along with like, I really want to draw a blueberry like with these, like, ooh, like just think about it. Oh my god. I'm gonna stop squealing about this for a little bit. I also, since I already opened it, I did not mention this, but it comes with a little like business card along with stickers for each one of the pens, so you could have the numbers on the side. But first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Loomis head method. I know there's like 900 million videos about it, but I'm just gonna give you like a quick, like, I want to say tutorial, but kind of just a basis. I don't use it. I kind of just learned about it, like went fully in depth about it a few months ago, but I use like some of it, so that's why I'm gonna talk about just like the basics of it. For the Loomis head method, we start with a circle. I'm just gonna do a 3/4 view because that's the easiest view, but we're just gonna do a circle, or I guess a sphere since we're talking 3D. And to that sphere, we're gonna cut off both of the sides. With an oval, it's about 2/3 of the height of the circle. These change depending, like the width of them change on the angle of the head. Since it's just 3/4, we're just gonna do that. Then we put a little dot in the middle and we run this line across here. This is just going to give us the angle of the head, tilting it up or down. This is going to be our brow line. Then at the bottom of the circle, we're going to do a parallel line to this line above, along with the top. This is our brow, this is our hairline, and then this is the bottom of our nose. They should be about equal parts, and with another one of these, we're gonna do the chin. Then we're gonna do the center line. This just helps with figuring out where each one of the like features is placed. And then we can slowly connect all of these lines. The brow bone kind of intrudes. It depends on the head. This is just like the most basic head possible. Kind of protrudes, goes in a little bit, goes right here, and then goes down to the chin. It depends on how large the chin is and how high the cheekbones are. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a line down the center. About, it can be a little bit past the center line or like center dot of this. Gonna do a line right here, curving into that chin once more. Then with this, we're gonna add our neck. Another line we can add to better understand the side plane of the head is we can use this to the chin. This just gives us more of where that side plane ends up and how the face tilts. And with this base of a head, we can add features. I'm just gonna do some really quick ones and I'll just speed it up. Here is my basic Loomis head with basic features. We could do a front view or a side view. I might do it. I'll probably do it real quick. For the side, we do the sphere once more. And since we are directly staring at the side view, the oval is now gonna be a circle. And then down the center of it, we can just do the lines right away. Continue on with those lines. Then once more, we're gonna use this as a measuring tool for the chin. And then down the center, we're gonna do a quick line. And this is where the chin is, and this is the neck. Since the character is looking up, this part of the neck stretches while this part of the neck pinches. If there's more skin and fat on a character, there will probably be neck rolls and stuff. Same with like other characters if they were to look down and all that stuff. But yeah, that's basic side view. We can do the features after I do the center one. With every angle, you start with a circle, sphere. And since we are looking at the center, we're gonna see both of the side planes a little bit. It's kind of gonna look like a tennis ball. And then in the center of those, we're gonna do a dot once more, drag the line across once again. And then we can start on the chin. I think I made the oval too small within the circle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull it up more, make that hairline up a little bit more. Center line should be the same. This should be pulled down, and this is gonna be around right here. And then we connect them over there. Depending on the chin, it can be sharper and go out more, or it can be thinner, go in more. It just depends on what character you're doing, what features you have. And then the neck is about the same size as the face itself. And then we add the ears. They protrude out a little bit. And now we can add the features again. Here are the basic Loomis heads done, 3/4 side profile in front, and then I just wrote down like the basic steps. While I do think the Loomis method is very, very helpful for doing heads in very difficult positions, it's a little more difficult to change the ratios of the measurements to fit different facial features. So while I think it's a good base to learn the angles and perspectives of heads, I think it can also create difficulties for beginners that want to do different facial features, but they feel stuck and confined with the ratios, which is not true. But this is a method that you can learn from, but it's just not what I personally do. Another reason why I don't use the Loomis head method always is because the ratios and proportions of the person change based on expression, which with enough practice with the Loomis head method, you can definitely like figure out how the proportions change and everything. I just think it's better to raw dog it. I don't know. Another thing we're going to talk about is drawing from observation with heads. I'm just going to talk about the difficulties with it and also some of the basic measurements. Like I said, with the Loomis head method, not every person is going to be looking the exact same, but these are just basic measurements. One of the difficulties drawing heads based off of portraits or models or anything is symbolic knowledge. Basically what this is using a specific shape for the features, such as like, you know that a nose is protruding and it's pointy, so you use a triangle, and you know an eye is round, so you just use a circle. Obviously, this is only for observational drawing. When you want to sketch your own heads, I use symbolic knowledge because I'm not using a reference, so I just do it based off what I know. Another one is focusing on the smaller details. This is like going in for the head and knowing like, oh, I know how to draw an eye, and then you just draw an eye, and then you're kind of just like, okay, I'll do the rest. And it's difficult to figure out where each one of the features go, where the head goes, where is the eye laying on the body. Inside the skull, we'll say that. Now for some general measurements and like tips. The top of the skull is not where the hair lies. The hair is going to add volume to that skull. So don't base your measurements off of the top of the hair, base it on the top of the skull and figure out where that is. Half of the face is generally where the eyes land. We can see that with the Loomis head method, the eyes land about center, with this being the top and this being the bottom. It's a little above, but whatever. Then with that, the bottom half from the eyes down, about halfway there is the bottom of the nose. I put mine up a little bit more. Then from the bottom of the nose, about 1/3 down of this bottom section is where the mouth lands. And then with the other 2/3, obviously the bottom of the chin. Like with the Loomis head method, this is not the gospel. This is not how everybody looks. This is not how every skull looks, but these are just general measurements to think of when you are drawing a character and being like, this looks weird, this looks off, maybe check these real quick. This is essentially just the vertical proportions of the face. We could go into the horizontal features, but I think horizontal features is where we can get the most character customization. What is it? Different characteristics. Sure, we'll say that. With these basics out of the way, we can talk about how to study heads before going on and creating your own. With studying heads, I think there's 2 different ways that we could go about this, and obviously combining them into one is a huge thing that we could do, but I'm just gonna give you basics of each one. The first one we're gonna do is work with the planes of a face. This will help you better understand the 3D nature of a head itself. So for this method, what you're gonna do is completely blur out your eyes. You're gonna I don't know, squint really, really hard. You look dumb. I've said this multiple times. If you squint your eyes, it looks stupid, but get used to it. I don't know. The easiest way to do this kind of study method is to take the person out of the negative space, aka the background. So what we're gonna do is focus solely on the background to get the silhouette of the person. This does not have to be perfect. Kind of work a little bit fast. Doesn't need to be like Sonic, you know what I mean? But, you know, just figure out mostly where the person lands. Since I'm focusing mostly on faces today, I'm probably not going to focus too much on the shoulders and everything. I think I might have scooted this side in too much, but whatever. With figuring out the silhouette, the easiest ones to do are side profiles, and 3/4 are a little bit easier because they show the most information about the face. For this, we're only going to focus on the lights and the darks. We're not going to focus on any of the different values in this picture. I'll be putting the picture in black and white so it's easier for people to see the values, but we really just want to categorize them into either highlights or shadows. Ni hao, fine shit. Hop on Counter-Strike. Sorry, this is editing cat here. I don't know why I didn't say half of the stuff that I was thinking. I totally thought I did. I think I'm insane. Anyways, I wanted to say that all these pictures that I'm going to be using are from lineofaction.com. Like always, I'm a spokeschild at this point, I swear to God. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Anyways, but I wanted to say that if you are struggling finding out which values are considered more of a highlight rather than a shadow, you can just up the contrast on the photos, take a screenshot of it and then put it in your camera roll, put up the contrast with the black and white filter, and you'll have a much easier time figuring out what is a highlight and what is a shadow. That's all I'm gonna say. Back to the video. I don't know. First thing I'm noticing is that there's a little bit of a shadow coming from this side of the head because of that hairline in the center. Along with this side, from that hairline, there is a little bit of a shadow here, and we can see the plane of the eyebrow and the forehead up here, completely casted in shadows. About here is where the ear would lie, so we're gonna put the shadows in the crevices. This is completely in shadow, essentially, besides for the ear. There are some points in the creases of the ear that are shadowed. Then this goes along. This is mostly in highlight, but I just want to carve out where the face is from the hair. Shadows casted from the hair and from the head. Here's from that shoulder, and then the shirt. Since it is black, I'm just gonna put it in shadow, even though there are highlights in the creases of the shirt. From here, we can see that about right here is when the shadow of the neck starts, really. There's not a whole lot of reflective light coming from the hair to the neck, so I'm just gonna put a thin line there, but that's just to separate the neck from the hair. But if we were to really focus on just the highlights and the shadows, I wouldn't be putting that there. I might honestly get rid of it, we'll see. With this, we can see that the chin is in shadow compared to this part of the neck. So we have an easier way to figure out where the shadows of the chin lie and where the chin lies in general. From here, we can see that there is a piece of skin because the eyebrows are squishing together that piece of skin by being furrowed. So we can see that it's in the center. So just figure out the center, and from that, we can put the shadows created by the eyebrows in there. With the light source coming from the side of the face, it's easier to figure out how far the nose protrudes because it creates like the biggest cast shadow over the entire face. So I love doing this part. The eye is completely shadowed. There is a little bit of bounce light or like reflective light coming off from the side of the face, but I'm not really gonna focus too much on that. Maybe cross hatch a little bit. Then we have the wrinkle of the mouth to the nose. We have the Cupid's bow. And then almost directly down from the side of the nose, we have the mouth. And then this one is a little bit further out. This side of the lip is more casted in shadow. We can connect the chin to that shadow because it continues on. This is basically completely casted in shadow. And then the eye right here, there are some wrinkles coming from the side of the eye, along with, since the mouth is being almost pushed up and like discussed, the chin fat is going to be raised up, causing the eyelids to be closed more. Checking the proportions, I made the ear way too down low. It's not perfect, but it does help you figure out the general silhouette of the features and how the light interacts with the intrusions and the, I was gonna say protrusions of the facial features. It also helps show how the face contorts with emotions. Like here we can see that the skin on the forehead is going to pinch close up here with the mouth moving inward and the eyebrows moving inward as well. The cheek fat is going to be raised, causing the eyelids to be squished. She's scrunching her nose as well, so it causes the fat up here to raise up, I guess. Her mouth is extending, so the chin is gonna go lower and the cheekbones are gonna be more visible. She's kind of almost flaring her, not flaring, but like pushing her lips out a little bit. But those are just the general movements I can see in the face. Probably there's a lot more with how the muscles of the face move depending on emotions, but these are just like the basic ones that I see that I try to implement into creating my own emotions. That's how I create my faces, with planes and shadows and highlights. I'll put up 2 of the ones I did in drawing 1 in college. As you can see, we had a direct light source. I believe it was from the top. I'm not looking at them right now, but I believe it was from the top. So it was way easy to see how the eyebrows would turn into the face or like scoop out the face. I don't know. FNAF reference. Anyways, and then the nose would protrude and cause a cast shadow onto the upper lip. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Once again, I forgot to say important stuff. I kind of touched on it in like the last little section, but if you want to try this, I would say get photos with direct lighting and very harsh shadows. That way it's easier to divide whether they're in shadows or in highlights. And it also gives you more of a balance between the lights and shadows, because typically a lot of photos of faces are taken in direct light, which causes, you know, not a whole lot of shadows and not a lot of interesting shadows that really depict the facial features. So here are some good examples on the screen. Another good example, or like a good source, I guess, would be statues. There's a whole lot on Pinterest. If you want to go check my Pinterest, I literally have a lot saved, literally. But specifically of the Baroque era, I'll just throw up 3, I think, of my favorite ones that I really like. I think the first one is Gaul killing himself and then his wife, or like dying Gaul killing himself and his wife. I can't remember who it's by, but whatever. And then David by Bernini, I believe that's how I say his name. And then the rape of the Sabine women. Those are really, I think they're pretty popular Baroque statues. It has a lot of emotion. The reason I specifically say Baroque is because it just takes the dramatics of like Roman and Greek architecture or like sculpture and makes it like tenfold and dramatic, and I really appreciate that. And it's way easy to see the emotions of them because a lot of sculptures are taken with pretty harsh lighting to show all the indentation and the relief and everything that was created with the sculpture. It's also kind of like a 360 of a model to see all the anatomy as well and see all the different angles of the face. So yeah, and then we're gonna go on to the next version. Okay. This is working more gesturally and linearly. Essentially what we're doing is we're doing a contour line drawing, but I'm using a sketch right now. We're gonna sketch and then we're gonna clean it up with like a pen or something to just show you that even without me focusing on the highlights and the shadows of a face, I can figure out the proportions. With this head, we're gonna start with a circle. It's also gonna give you a better sense of what I take and what I leave out of the Loomis method. And then from here, we have the, what is it? Center line? Jesus. And then I figure out the hairline right now and go to the eyebrows, and then to the nose, to the mouth, to the chin. I like to focus on measurements in the relationships of the different features and the different angles in the face. So for this, we can see that the forehead basically is a perfectly vertical line, but protrudes out to fit that brow bone. Essentially, the center line will align with the, essentially like the T-zone of the face. So the center line will be running from there, and that's where the eyebrows stop. And then with the point of the nose, we can see that it ends about where the forehead starts. Create a quick nose bridge. There's not that like all the different details and angles of the nose bridge yet into his face. This is just a basic rundown of the angles of it. I think I pushed it in too far, but we'll see. And then the cheeks, eyelash, go down. This protrudes out a little bit. And then this about connects with the top of the lip. You can see that there's another line right here. We can connect this to that. This makes no sense. Like, I feel like you kind of just have to create your own relationships in what you're studying. I know this like is not going to help anybody, and I apologize for that. I feel like the shadow method was better to explain my process and thinking, but hopefully, you know, whatever. From here, we can see that the smile goes, like the smile ends about where the nose intersects with the side of the face. Dude, I don't know how to explain this. The lip is more vertical because it's, while it is a protrusion on the face, because it's, you know, if you feel your lip, it's not just like flat to your face and to your skin, but with it being stretched in a smile, it's gonna be more flat than usual. Then he has a little bit of a butt chin, so we're gonna add that. Then the chin kind of ends a little bit before the smile lines interface. Could create kind of a relationship right here. The arch of the eyebrow goes to about here, and the end of the eyebrow goes a little bit past the smile lines. There's a little shadow in between the eyebrow and the eye, and it lays about right where the, what is it called? Nostril lies. Curve this line because the eye, the orbital socket, no, the eye is just, it's a round feature, so it's not gonna be like straight. Yeah. He has an eye bag right here, and his cheek is being pushed up with his smile. He has smile lines, or like, I think they're, aren't they called like crow's feet or something? I don't know. That's like the thing in the middle. I don't know. He has wrinkles from his smile. See the wrinkles kind of rippling out, and then we have a little bit of a shadow right here. It's really hard to see, but there is a little bit of a shadow because of the cheek being pushed up. A little bit of shadow here as well. Now we can find the side plane of it. The top of the, like the arch of the eyebrow is usually where we can see a divide between the front plane and the side plane. Well, I do say like front plane and side plane. It's more of like a curve. So there's 3 planes. So like this is the front plane, and from the eyebrow, it's like a curve. And then from the bottom of the eyebrow, there's another curve. And this is like the half side plane. And then this is the side plane. Does this make any sense? I don't know. But anyways, we're gonna continue on. For the hair, I'm just gonna use like just a big old shape, big old blob. For the ear, we can kind of see it go up from there, and then it goes down pretty straight. People's ears are all different. I kind of just draw the same ear over and over again, and I decide whether or not I want to make the character have connected or unconnected earlobes. I know everybody's like ear structure is different, but I don't really understand how to do that. He has the bottom part of his jaw. It is pretty soft, so it's just gonna be running along right there, but very not noticeable. And then he has the neckline, and then he has his Adam's apple I might have pushed the neck back too far, we'll see. I wouldn't say this is working more gesturally because I was trying to explain where I find each relationship, but I would say like the circle and the center line and like figuring out like basic features is working more gesturally, and then I move on to measurements. But I don't know, I mostly focus on measurements here. Even with this just as a sketch, we can see all the different facial features in it, but if we really wanted to, we could come and line them out. Like I said, it protrudes out, eyebrow is curving back in, then it goes down, and there's a little bump in the nose, there's a little shadow on the cupid's bow, smile line, deepen it a little bit. I definitely made the nose too wide, so whatever. Yeah, I definitely made the nose too wide, but whatever. Here is a more linear method of studying faces. It's not perfect. I think I might have wanted to tilt the head down a little bit more and made the eyes smaller, nose more inward, or like less wide. And then the nose bridge, I think, is a little too protruded. I don't know. I feel like there's more small details that I could get into, but these are just like some basic features. With that, we could also practice perspectives and different angles of the face and cameras and everything, the view, whatever. For that, and I know people don't want to hear this, but drawing boxes is actually really helpful. Ooh. Say I wanted to do a more top-down view. This is the top of the head, face, side view. So it's not exactly top down. If it was top down, it would be like here. This is the front plane. This is the top. But, you know, whatever. We could do side looking up view. We could also add the like lines, or like the basic lines to this. So this would be like the eye line, the, what is it called? Hairline, nose, and then the center line. Also, another important thing to mention, while all of these sections are the same size, depending on the perspective, it's going to change. If it's closer to the viewer, it's going to be larger. If it's farther away from the viewer, it's going to be smaller. So we can see that here with the forehead just being like that, or I guess like the hair just being that, and then the chin being larger. Say we were opening the jaw of the character. The jaw is going to be on a joint. I'm gonna do a side view because I feel like that's the best way to view it. And I'm gonna use a circle because the cranium is important to separate from the rest of the skull. So say we were gonna do a typical face, it'd be like that. Say we wanted to open the jaw, what we would do is we would do that circle once more, because the cranium does not move when we move our jaw. We can try that. Like if you were to be stupid, or not stupid, but do what I'm doing right now and like just like continually move your jaw, and like only your bottom jaw, because your top jaw can't move, but you know, like move your bottom jaw around, you'll notice that your head will not move, but the bottom part will. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry, there was a lot of loud noise for a second, but I'm back. Okay, so I don't know where I left off, but the joint is actually going to be right here. It's going to move further back, and then the face will stretch because of that. So your nose will stretch a little bit along with your mouth mostly. You can do that as the eye line, and then the nose line can move down a little bit if you want. It can also just stay the same, doesn't matter. It depends on how fervently you're moving it. Then this will become larger because we're going to be extending the jaw. Then we can connect it. Then from here we can continue on with the neck, but since we are moving the jaw, we are going to be compressing the front of our neck and the skin in there, so it's going to be pinched, creating a fold. That's going to pinch, this is going to extend, and everything's about going to stay the same. Like from here on, everything stays the same. I feel like that's mostly the basics of like creating heads in different angles. Whoa, what another shocker. I forgot stuff again. Anyways, I have two things to say. First one is going to be showing on your screen, playing on your screen right now. Fun fact, when you draw faces, you accidentally draw features of your own because you're the face that you look at the most. So drawing the same model from different angles helps you draw the same features in different perspectives. For this, I had my lovely girlfriend, JK, my friend, Zoe. I asked her if I could use her photos from her Instagram and she said yes. So here's the speed paint of me just like figuring out her facial proportions. I have a really hard time drawing Zoe. Zoe's really difficult to draw. I don't know why, but I'm kind of a hater while drawing her, but I do. She's gorgeous, so whatever. But yeah, those are just like basic drawings of her in order to show the same model from different angles. There are also a lot of models on Line of Action that have a lot of photos of them. There's that one like chubby dude with like the curly hair, and then that like chubby girl with like the ponytail. I swear to God, every like third photo is them, but you can study their faces if you have no friends. Oh. Anyways, I also mentioned this in the anatomy video, but if you look up 3D head model, you will find a million of these things. I just chose this one because you can see the skeletal structure inside, and I thought that was cool. But yeah, this is a really great resource, and yeah, totally cool anyway. But now we're gonna talk about how I draw heads from just my little brain. For drawing heads, I either start out with a circle or a box. Most times I just start out with a circle and then I move to a box. So, you know, we'll do this. We're gonna do maybe a more upward facing, I don't know, we're gonna do something. And then because I want to do an upward facing, we're gonna add the box. From there, I do the center line and I do this kind of line. The reason why I don't use a sphere and I use a box is because with a sphere, it's difficult to see the planes of a face and like imagine them, but with a box, it's way easier. So that's why I use it. And it gives me a better sense of where the side and the front planes are gonna be separated. From there, I typically do the bottom of the nose, depending on how much is visible to the viewer. Then I do the side plane, and then the lips. Eyes, I use just a circle to figure out just like the eye alone, like the eyeball and the socket itself. Then I figure out the chin and the cheek area. I make adjustments all over the place when I am drawing a face. Forehead, neck. You can see a little bit of the underneath of the head. So we're gonna add a little bit of that and make the chin go inward almost. We're gonna figure out the eyes. The eyes are the worst part for me. I absolutely despise drawing eyes. I can't, it just, every time I do it, it just looks weird. I basically carve out what would be indented from the eyebrow to the eye socket and then out to the cheek. And then I add the eyelids, but typically I don't really like how they look. So we fiddle around with it for like 5 hours. I always add this line for like the second side plane, I don't know, whatever I said. Add that relationship. I kind of just make it a square, rectangular shape. Better helps me find out where the ear should lie. The ear should kind of always lie a little bit, like the top of the ear should be about the eye level, maybe a little bit above, maybe a little bit below. So if we were to do like a side angle and they're gonna be looking up, the ear will be going down, and if it's looking down, the ear will be going up. You know what I mean? They're essentially symmetrical and parallel to one another, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm using the right words. I don't think I am, but if you know, you know. But that's like a basic facial structure for me. Then we could add the basic features. I'm not gonna draw anyone in particular, but just giving, you know, a general depiction of the features I focus on first. Have the hair, what is it called? I almost said eyebrow. What is it? Eye, no, ear, Jesus. And then there is like, I think it's a ligament. I don't really know, tendon, I don't know. There's like a thing that comes from behind the ear that goes to the neck. I don't know what that is. I should like look it up, but I am not going to. And then I add the collarbone, and then I add the nostrils, and I focus on the curvature from the bridge of the nose to the eyebrow and the eye socket. I've been told I draw very pouty lips, so we're gonna draw our pouty lips. Sometimes I black out the top of the lips, sometimes I don't, it just depends. Then we have the eyes. Try to keep them symmetrical, but typically not because I'm really bad at it. I messed up, we're gonna go back. Here's a basic face, I don't know. This is just, you know, how I lay out my features. We can go in depth on how I draw the features, which I'll do in like 5 seconds. So I'll do that actually right now. There are various ways to draw certain features. I'm gonna do eyes first, and I'm gonna show you like some characters, like some specific eyes I do for specific characters. First, we're gonna do my OC Ellie. So for this, all these are gonna be at a 3/4 view. Put that down right here. They have very downturned eyes, and their waterline is very visible. I don't know if that makes sense, but it is. And then the cornea is pretty prominent. The eyelashes are a little bit smaller. I do make my characters have quite large eyelashes. And then the bottom of their eye does not touch the bottom of their lid. And then I add a lid on top. So that's Ellie's eye. Wow, and they have eye bags. Wow. Next, we'll do Milo. Milo has very round features. So we kind of start out with the same thing, but his eyes are not as downturned. He's probably smiling because it's Milo. He does not have a super visible cornea. His eyelashes are a little bit longer, and his pupils are a little bit bigger. Not pupils, not sclera, Jesus. What is it called? Iris, Jesus, okay. Then Arden, I love drawing Arden's eyes because they're really simple, but I think they're really interesting. They're around the same, like, I don't know, circular, spherical, I don't know, shapely things as Milo. Besides, she has much longer eyelashes, and she does not have a bottom lid, but she has thicker eyelash top lid. I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean. And then we have Minze. Ugh. Minze has monolids. They're just tighter in general, I would say. Like his eyelids are closer together. I don't know if that makes sense. He does have like he has a little fat pocket underneath his eyes. He doesn't have any sort of like upper eyelid like indentation. I don't know, but he doesn't have that. He's gonna be looking at the VRBs. He sucks. I hate him. Anyway, so that's Minze's eyes. Atticus's eyes are also downturned. They're very hooded, very similar to Ellie's, just a little bit larger, more eye bags, and they have bottom lashes, and they have brown eyes and top lashes. We could do Ren. We could do Ren Hana. I draw Ren. Okay, I've talked about this before. This is gonna be a little tangent. I love drawing Ren because he's just all triangles. Okay, pretend I'm drawing Ren, right? So head, and then I do this. That's like the second side view. And then he has a little widow's peak, a little piece of hair coming out. And then he has his eyebrow, and his eyebrows I make into triangles. His eyes are triangles, essentially. His nose is a triangle. His mouth is typically in a triangle. And, well, he doesn't have ears, but his ears are triangles. I love drawing this freak. He's just very triangular. I love doing it. But anyways, let me talk about his eye. Make his eyes very, very pointy. He has matte eyeliner going on. I make the bottom lash line pretty dark. Make the inner corner very sharp. Sometimes I add lashes, sometimes I don't. Then he has his little fox eyes. And then his eyebrows, I feel like, are just so iconic and important. Oh, my beautiful princess. I guess we have to add the triangle for the like the eye, or not the eye, the facial coloring, whatever. Okay, anyways, that's my beautiful princess Ren. Typically when I'm drawing eyes, like on a face, we're gonna say this is like top half of a face. I know I'm just like going over everything, but like whatever. So this is the brow line. With that brow line, I figure out the indentation of the skull for the orbital socket, and then I add the eyes, and then I figure out the eye shape. Yeah, that's like basic eye, whatever. I could do like eyebrows. I don't know. Like, okay, Atticus's eyebrows, Atticus's eyebrows are like this. They're quite upturned with eyebrow piercings. Minze's are very thick towards the back, but very thin towards the front. She has very thin eyebrows, so I just do line. Milo has untamed eyebrows. Ellie has thin eyebrows. Ren has these eyebrows. Yeah, these are eyes. Wow, so cool. Now we're gonna do noses. We're gonna do 3/4 view, but like the other side now. We'll do Arrtx nose. Arrtx nose is completely flat. I didn't do his eyes because I hate drawing his eyes. So it's very flat. He has like nose bumps really. His nose bridge is sharp. It's just very straight. As for Milo's, his nose is very, not indented, but swoopy. I don't know how to say it, but he has a very bulbous, flat nose. And his nose bridge is much larger and wider than Arrtx, but that's Milo's nose. So cool, so cool. Arden's nose is pretty similar. Arden and Arrtx have very similar noses, where it's kind of just another flat nose, but there's not a indentation of, like a flat wide nose. There's not an indentation. Menze's has a little bit of a hook to it, not a super wide hook, and it's flat. We could talk about Vivian. Oh my god, Vivian, haven't mentioned her since I killed her off, but like whatever. We can talk about Vivian's nose. Vivian has a huge hooked nose, but yes, that's my Vivian. Wow, I care so much about her. Here are my noses. I don't know. This is how I draw noses. We'll do mouths. We'll do mouths now, and like lips. Let's do Ellie's. So Ellie's, we're gonna do their nose real quick. They have a straight nose. They have a really prominent Cupid's bow, and for Cupid's bow, I typically like just do like almost like a diamond shape. I typically just shade them completely in when I am doing mouths, but it just depends. They have very thin lips, but I always push my lips out. That's why I said that I draw my lips pouty. Even when they don't have thick lips, I always push them out. Arden's lips, I think, are really fun because there basically is no Cupid's bow. The space between the top part of, or like the top part of her lip and the bottom of her nose is there's like very minimal space, and it's almost like her top lip is almost touching the bottom of her nose, but her lips are super duper round, and the bottom part of her lip is smaller than the top part. Super fun. Menze's, I don't give a shit about Menze. I don't know, he just has like regular lips. I don't care about him. Then Arrtx, my dear Arrtx, my beautiful Arrtx. They have pretty full lips as well. Not as full as like Arden's or Milo's, but they have pretty full lips. And they have a gap tooth, and they have septum, and then snake bites. Differentiate and like figure out different ratios for different characters. I think the easiest way to see that is by doing a side profile view. We're gonna do Quinn because I didn't draw Quinn in any of these, but let's do head. So she has a pretty prominent forehead. She has quite a large forehead. Her eyebrow sticks out pretty far, and then she has a super indented nose, very upturned, very button, and then she has an overbite. So I make sure to make the bottom of her chin go inward compared to the top of her lip. And she has pretty big lips. Her top lip is bigger though, but that is also because it's protruded out more. But that's Quinn. She has very downturned eyes. That's my darling Quinn. And let's compare it to her husband. Eric is gross. I hate Eric. Anyways, we're gonna do that. He has very thin facial features and they're very, very symmetrical. That's another thing we can do. We could like, I don't know, you know, like, what is it? Diverted septum? I don't know. We could like make a nose bridge not completely symmetrical, and we could like change a mouth to have certain features. Oh yeah, like on Ellie's lip, they have a cut right here. Like, you can talk about that. Like, I don't know. His eyes are downturned, but he smiles like a creep, and I hate him. Anyways, that's Eric, but like really chopped because it takes me like 50 minutes to draw one drawing of Eric because he's so difficult to draw. I hate him. I'm just messing around with Eric at this point. You know what? We're just not even gonna look at him. Those are some facial features. There's probably more that I could talk about. We could talk about like freckles, like moles and scars and skin variations and like red wine stains and vitiligo and everything. Like, we could talk about all that, but I think this is like fine for the basics. Oh, let me do a quick ear tutorial because I just said that like I just do ears the same way. Pretend this is an ear. Super round. I kind of cut this part off. This is no earlobe connecting, okay? And I do one thin line and then I protrude this part out. I don't know what any of it is called, but I protrude it out. And then I add this, like another thin line basically surrounding that one. And I, hold up, and I add this line, I don't know, shade this part in, make this part like the hole and that, and then I can add piercings. Ooh, how ear tutorial. I don't know what I'm doing. It's currently dark out, so I apologize if the lighting is super bad. I just realized while I was editing it and I was like, oh, I can't believe I'm almost done, that I didn't explain one of like the things I was like, oh, I can't wait to show this, and how to do expressions. So that's what we're gonna do. I don't know how I forgot that, but whatever. This is the thing that I wanted to show earlier that I completely forgot about. It's just like a fun exercise to do that I don't do that often anymore, but I started doing it as a kid. I think I might have found it from like Doodle Date, if you remember that channel. I missed it. I miss it so much. I don't know if they still upload, but that was my thing. That was my thing when I was in like 4th grade. What I do, or what you can do, maybe get another person or something, is you just like make a shape without looking, and then try to fit a face in there. It can be like another object, or it can be something else, but since we're just focusing on faces, I think this is fun. So I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna try and make it connect, but I don't know. So these are our lines, these are our faces. I think this is fun because it forces you to see like what faces, or what you see in faces most, or like how you can figure out the faces yourself, because like I implore you, before you watch me do my faces, take a screenshot of this one. I want to see your faces. I'm so curious. I'm gonna start with this one because I feel like it's the easiest. I'm gonna try and mostly do the shape, but I'm gonna jet out a little bit. We're gonna do the ears. Maybe we're gonna make them a little bit bigger and protrude out more. And then the chin, and hold up, I feel like he'd be like sour. I don't know. It's so tough. Holy shit. I feel like he'd have his nose up super high. He kind of looks like, what is it, Sparks from Aliens in the Attic? One of the aliens. Maybe, oh, this looks, maybe we'll put an eye patch on him. He's gonna be a different person, hopefully. The comb over is not helping. I don't know what to do. Oh, that's actually really bad. What do I do? Oh, we could just make a huge mustache. There we go. Yes, it was not who you thought. Great. Oh my god, my body temperature just raised about 5 million degrees. That just made me so nervous. Wow, that looks terrible. I'm having the time of my life. Let's get rid of that nose and just... yeah, dive. This one, I'm feeling very cartoony. Like, hold up, I want glasses on him. Yeah, this is so Joe Swanson. Now this is awesome. I really like the bald head. I think it's very fun. He's my favorite so far. I really like him. Yeah, we're gonna flip it upside down and we're gonna give him a big ol' nose. He's very special to me. We're gonna make him bald again. I really like bald guys right now. I think we can make it into like a fun skull kind of thing. Wow, I think that was my worst one. Hell yeah. Type. Anyways, that's like fun stuff you can do to like do fun characters. I don't know. I just like doing this. This guy, I'm a really big fan of. I really fuck with him. I think he's really funny to look at. But now we're gonna talk about expressions, and I'm mostly just gonna focus on like the contortions, like which muscles like pinch together or like exaggerated, and what like pieces of skin fold and contort when certain emotions are happening. Obviously, not every emotion, or not everybody's emotion, is gonna be displayed the same way, but these are just like basic guidelines. I think there's more. I think I might do confused, but I'm just gonna stick with these for right now. All these are gonna be 3/4 view because who am I? For happy, I would say like your eyebrows raise, the fat underneath your eyes and your cheeks raise up as well. Your cheeks raise up, I already said that. Your mouth spreads apart, so it's going to be flatter against the skull, and like your musculature and everything. Obviously, it depends if you have an open mouth smile or like just a closed mouth smile, but these are just, you know, basics. So eyebrows typically raised, just the eyes in general are pushed up. The fat underneath the eyes, they're gonna be creasing, and you're gonna get some creases right there. There might be some forehead wrinkles. Put the nose right here because the smile lines typically come from the like nostril hook. Does that make sense? And then this becomes bulbous, and then the lips don't protrude out as much because they are squished against the skull more. That's my happy for ya. Ooh, so cool. I want to differentiate from sad and sobbing. Sad, I think, is just like unpleasant. I don't know. Just like, you know, when you look at someone and you're like, damn, they're sad. I think their entire face would droop more. I'm gonna put their eyes open in this one. And then their mouth is gonna droop more. They're not gonna have as many, what is it called? I think their mouth might be pushed in further, like the corners of their mouth. I'm like touching my face while I'm doing this as if people can see this. So it's gonna be more in towards your face, and your eyebrows are gonna be furrowed. There might be some other stuff, but we're just gonna do that. Okay, for sad, let's do eyebrows furrowed. And they're looking to the side. Since their eyebrows are furrowing, some of the skin from their eyes are going to be pinched in closer, like in the inner corners. Their nose, I don't think their nose would change that much. Their mouth would be, it's almost like pushed up more because it is going in more, so that it's going to be pushed up more. They kind of just look nervous. We could just make this nervous, I don't know. And then, oh, I forgot the most like important part. The bottom of their chin, or like their chin is gonna have like weird wrinkles. I don't know if you've like seen anybody crying, which I don't know if you have not, but like if you have, you'll notice that there's like wrinkles in the skin of the chin when people cry or are about to cry. So I would say that's pretty sad. For sobbing, I feel like their eyes would be, I think it's just more of this, but to the extreme. Let's make them a vampire. Ooh. And their mouth's gonna be open, and their eyebrows are gonna be pushed up, more so than the sad one. You're gonna have more of the wrinkles be present. Eyes are gonna be pushed up actually, and there's gonna be tears in them. I do like the big old tears. The wrinkles on the nose are gonna be more prominent, and the wrinkles on the eyes are gonna go in towards this like cluster of just like wrinkles and frustration. Probably tears running down the side of their face, and their cheekbones are gonna be indented a little bit. And since their mouth is raising up, their nose is probably gonna be raising up, or like their mouth is gonna be open and they're like screaming. I don't know, like screaming like that. Ah! They're gonna have their nose tilted up more. It's more of like the mouth is not opened as vertically or like as horizontally as smiling, but it's rather like pulled down. See more of that bottom lip. And then their chin will also have those like lines, but I didn't leave myself enough room for that. But since their mouth is opening, their entire face is being pulled down, but since their eyebrows are lifting up in like despair and stuff, their cheeks are actually going to be pushing their eyes up. That's sobbing. And then like also the, I don't know, whatever it is on the neck gets like taut and like pulled more, I guess. I don't know. They're more visible. You don't want to make daddy angry, kitten. Why do I? So we're going to do angry. Angry, the eyebrows are going to be pointed down, and the tension is still going to be there, but it's going to be more pointed down. Eyebrows completely furrowed. Eyes are typically like squinted more. Face muscles are pulled down. Very angled upward eyebrows. A lot of tension. There's just like a lot of tension in the T-zone and a lot of emotions. Pinched upwards face. Nostrils are going to be furrowed. The chin muscles are kind of pulled up. Like the bottom of the lip is kind of like pursed out more. Like I said earlier, but like I think there's more control in the bottom lip when you're angry. Like it's more contorted. I'm not sure. I don't know. Sure, that's angry. If we want to go like super cartoony, we can make like a fake vein like pop out. Like that's so anime. Another important thing is like emotions aren't only in the face, they're in body language. So like figure out posing of a character as well. You can't have like an angry character and then be like, disgusted is like I feel like it's almost a combination of sad and angry. It's like disappointed. I feel like the eyebrows are always going to be tilted up in like almost a confused kind of way where they're not exactly symmetrical with one another. I think the bottom of their eyes would be pushed up, nose would be flared out. They kind of just look scared. I think the most important part about disgusted are the eyebrows and the bottom lip being pushed up. They look like nauseous, and I think that's pretty good. If you want to learn how to draw emotions, I would say go on Line of Action and like click on the specific emotions that you want to learn, because then you can see like references for it. And you could also watch like movies or TV with like those emotions like coming out. Probably two last things, I don't know, since we're talking about like movies and actors and actresses, actors and actresses are a great way to have the same model in different positions and with different like emotions and everything. However, they're typically like very conventionally attractive and you kind of have the same features over and over again, like especially now, but you know, there's of course there's like a lot of actors with unique facial features, but a lot of the time most of them are just like very conventionally attractive. So I wouldn't say like solely focus on like Marvel movies, you know, like we can do better than that, you know. But I do think it is a great like fun study thing to do. I want to do it with Breaking Bad really bad, and I did a screenshot from Baby Reindeer of Donnie, and I want to do more of that because I really want to draw, what is it, Martha, something like that, I don't know, but that's really fun. Another thing, but the Loomis head method and just like drawing faces in general, the proportions change as the human body like develops. So a baby's head is not going to be the same proportions as an adult male, like, you know. So I would say if you're looking for a certain age group to draw, whether that be like toddlers, adolescents, teenagers, old people, senile, babies, whatever, look up that specific age group, because like that's the best way you're gonna fully like comprehend how to draw them and like depict them. Like I feel like everybody's seen like those Marvel comics of like people drawing Superman as baby, and it's like an old man on a toddler's face. But you know, jokes aside, I think that is really funny. But if you do want to get better at drawing different ages, I think that's a great source. Also, croquis drawing, once again, I know that's more focused on body, but croquis drawing is really fun. Portrait drawing, really fun. If you have friends, if you have friends, draw them, force them to sit for you for like 30 minutes. I don't know. But yeah, that's my face tutorial and like my facial expression tutorial. I hope this was kind of helpful. I feel like I covered most of what I wanted to talk about, but there's still like some things missing that I can't like put my finger on. But anyways, okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. /night, and I love Pookie Bears. Bye.